go, but I'm not that person. He said, I'm going to take you off at the next station. So she said, you want to spoil my night? Okay, she said. And then he held her papers, walked away, and then he came back, he said, gave her back the papers, and said, if we don't have you today, we have you tomorrow. And that saved her life. She's someplace here in America.
Why did the other members of your family stay back? Did they have any plans of escape, of coming to meet you? And where were you going?
No, my family was taken already. I forgot to mention that I ran out of diapers and so when I was with the chauffeur family. So I said, I'm going back to see what's going on with Olga and also to bring some clothes for her. So first I went to my apartment and my landlady told me, don't you go to Olga because she was just taken away with the whole family. So you can imagine I thought I'd get a heart attack. And I listened to her advice. And a thought came to me right away that he must have planned it, the landlord, because he told me a few days before I went to the show, for a few days, he said, he was the secretary at this archbishop, in the office he was working in. And he said, I will bring you a baptismal document for Peter, that was for the baby. So this was the time when he told me to come, and that's why I know that he was the one to get them into trouble. I used to see a blonde German-looking civilian quite a few times in his house. And he looked us over, but he didn't mention it. Must have been from the Gestapo. And after the war, they said that he was an informant.
Where was the train going that you were on?
To Bratislava. I went back to Paula, my girlfriend. I didn't know anybody else. I was afraid to go to a Jewish person. I didn't know what the situation was in the capital city. So I came to Paula and I said, this is Peter, because she hadn't seen him. By then he was like 6 weeks old. And now the question was right away, where will we sleep? Their apartment was very, very small, just one big room, and this was the bedroom, the living room, the dining room, the workshop, because her sister was a seamstress, and just a little kitchen. So she had an idea. In the courtyard lived others too, but was Christina, a single woman. And Paula knew that somebody was renting there a room, but a guy disappeared. Now, I did not need any explanation. I knew it must have been a Jew. So I asked this Christina, I said if she would rent me the room for Peter and me. And first she said no, because it's rented out. She said, of course, the gentleman is not here, but I cannot do it. I wouldn't touch his thing. I said, I assure you, if he comes back, I'll give you my word of honor, I'll vacate it immediately. So she agreed, and so I slept there with the baby at her place. In the morning, I went back to the Illich family, to Paula, and I stayed with them. And this was my existence there. for some time. This was September, and the air raids were a lot of times, also in that building in the back was a stable. I kept a horse there, and upstairs was a man and a common law wife and a child, about 5-6 years old boy. And he was the commandant in the civil defense thing. And he had some suspicion, that I'm Jewish, or he just wanted to know. So he arranged it so he gave me a task. I had to have duty until 12 o'clock and then go upstairs and wake him and knock on the door, and he would take over. And when Christine heard it, she didn't know I was Jewish. She had no idea. She went to the police to report that he's harassing a nursing mother. So we just didn't know what to do. It was so dangerous, the situation. And Mrs. Illig, Paula's mother, was afraid, and I didn't blame her. And Paula told me that everything fell out of her hands at work. So he was summoned to the police, and they bawled him out that he should not do it, he should find somebody else. And the matter was settled somehow. And afterwards, he knocked on the door. It was on a Shabbos with, I think it was a monstrudel or something, as a peace offering, So in a way, it turned out that it was a blessing, because if she goes to the police and nothing happens to me, then I'm okay.
Were you able to practice Judaism at this time? And did you observe the Jewish rituals?
How could I observe Jewish rituals? As long as there was no one around, no Jew to make anything kosher. So when I was there at Paula's, eating with them, she made chicken. She knew that I would not touch pork or so she catered to me. But when I was later in that Christian institution, they said to Dr. Rashkova in advance that we don't cater to anybody or to any diets. She will have to eat what we prepare.
How long did you stay with Paula and her family?
It got worse and worse because the terror was such. They posted big posters on the street that whoever hides a Jew will be shot. And they meant business. And they were afraid, of course they were afraid. And every landlord had to give a statement to the authorities that in his house are no Jews. So one day, he asked Mrs. Illig, who is this woman with the child who is with you? Is she Jewish? She said, no, she's Catholic. And it was not enough for him. Even though she would not swear because she was such a religious Catholic, that's very a big sin. And they went to confessions too, and I was afraid of that too. Anyway, a week later or so, when I was at Christina's in my room by myself, he came to ask me would I write the statement for him. He said, I'm not so good with the pen. He was a simple person, you know. So I controlled